Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Vance from FishingwithVance.com. So today what we're going to talk about, we're back in the garage again, snow outside. We got one day, or Penner got one day in fishing for trout, as you saw in a previous video. If you haven't, go check that out. And we're back in the garage today. So what we're going to talk about today is I started looking at some of my tackle, because we're getting prepped for our annual trip to Cabela's to see what we do and don't need. And quite honestly, we probably don't need a whole lot between the four of us. We have quite a bit of tackle. But what I thought I'd talk about today is crankbaits, specifically squarebills and lipless, maybe some jerkbaits, things like that. Just the things that over time that we have started to use. We started out as pretty much finesse bass fishermen, at least I did. And I still use that KVD purple worm whenever I really got to catch a fish. But over time, myself, High Life, and even Penner and Catter have now gotten into starting to throw some of the, as they say, hard plastics or square bills, so, or crankbaits, I should say. So, stay tuned. I'm going to talk through and show you the various baits that we have, and talk about some of the fish we caught using square bills and my own techniques. I'm no expert by any means, but I have gotten quite happy with using these square bills. There's my pretty wife over there. You can't see her. She's off camera. She just ran back in the house. Anywho, but anyway, square bills, crankbaits. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk through them and show you some of the tackle. Thanks for joining me now on FishingwithVance.com. Oh yeah, before we go, sporting a new sweatshirt here that I got from a man from Rush Voorhees Outdoors, RVO as it's known. I'm trying to support all the channels that have been supporting me all this time. I've been on YouTube for a number of years now, and these guys have stayed with me and helped me out, and so I've been buying some of their merchandise along the way. So shout out to Rush. Check out his merch wall. Check out all his pretty awesome videos. So anyway, back to crankbaits. I'll be back in a second to talk through crankbaits and go from there. FishingwithVance.com. Alright guys, welcome back. So like I said in the opening, what I want to talk about today are some of the crankbaits that we've had a lot of success with, us and a lot of other people. But if you follow Fishing with Vance, you know that we started out just throwing pretty much nothing but KVD purple worms, purple blue fleck, and there's nothing wrong with that. But over time we expanded our horizons and tried new things for different applications for different times, just like any good bass fisherman does. So we started getting into some crankbaits, and these are the ones that we have had the most success with. So let's talk about the good old square bill. I like, for whatever reason, I have the most success with a square bill rather than a rounded bill, and also the most success with these Strike King KVD 1.5 square bills. Now we will throw the 2.5s depending on how deep we're going to throw. This guy runs about 3 to 5 feet, and which is perfect for our little lake. So we throw a lot of these 1.5 square bills, and specifically this color. This is, I believe, called the neon shad, or neon bluegill. And this guy, for whatever reason, does some serious work. I think personally it's because it has that little bit of yellow on the bottom of the square bill. And we'll throw this anywhere from right out in the middle of the lake to in the spring. Throw that up shallow, bumping it off of trees, rocks, whatever you can bump it off of to wake up and get those strikes. We also, at our lake, we have that big rock line that runs right down the middle of the lake. And I will refer to it as Suez or whatever like that. But it's just rocks on both sides, and it falls off to a good, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 to 8 feet on both sides of that old rail bed. And this thing thrown over above that or along the side of it has caught a bunch of bass. So what you want to do when you throw this thing is don't be afraid to bump it off the rocks, bump it off the trees. It may get hung up, but you can go in and get it. And like I said, I like the KVD 1.5s, and the hooks are good on these. They hold up, and like I said, I'll throw this all year long. We were going to get a few more this year. My two favorite colors is this, like I said, this neon bluegill, and then this other, purple and blue guy, just called the good old-fashioned bluegill. And this color and the neon bluegill do the best for me. You may see me throw that yellow guy. We make fun and call it the tennis ball and whatnot, and that's a little bigger, the 2.5. If I'm trying to really scare them up in the fall. But I like this bluegill color and the neon bluegill color in the 1.5. I wouldn't say anything really negative about the Strike Kings. I haven't had any problems with hooks or the bills breaking, and they've held up great. The only issue is if I throw it in the tree, and that's on me. It's not on Strike King or KVD. So looking forward to throwing those again this year. We got to get after those quick in our lake because we tend to get a lot of weeds, and these guys are obviously a no-fly zone in the weeds. But spring and fall, and then if we get some spots where there's no weeds throughout the summer, early in the day, we like to throw this up shallow, and we've caught a lot of fish on this. I actually caught two fish at once on this one time. If I can, I'll go back and show that when I caught two bass at the same time, I think, on this particular lure. So, all right, enough for Squarebills. Let's move on to. Also, I tend to buy Strike King. I think their stuff is quality. And again, this color, this bluegill color with the red eyes, this is the Lipless crankbait. And up until a few years ago, I hadn't even caught a fish using these. I probably wasn't fishing it right, or I didn't have any confidence in it, and I just didn't throw it all that much. But again, anything takes practice. You watch other guys fishing on YouTube and watching their techniques and see what they're doing, and you go out and try it, and it works. I know somebody that I watch all the time fishing these is the guy, my man from Realistic Fishing. He kills them on Lipless, and so kind of watched how he was doing it, and I went out and tried it, and it worked. And I don't catch a ton of fish on this, but I tend to get some quality fish on this Lipless. Nice thing about this is, you can really control the depth of these. It sinks, and if you're trying to get down a little lower to them, you can. Or if you want to burn it back and keep it up, maybe a foot deep, you can do that. And it's a very versatile bait. You can vary your retrieve. You can helicopter it up and down, pulling it back and forth. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that in terms of retrieve. But in terms of pound for pound, more fish that I catch on Squarebills than this, but it's just probably I haven't given this enough water time. So I'm going to try to use this a little bit more. I do, again, like this color. It's the same color as that Squarebill. And then the other color I like, and also I've seen other guys using this, is the red-eyed shad. This guy also catches them. That color with the yellow stripe and the big red eyes catches them. And yeah, it's called a sexy shad. I call it the red-eyed shad, but either one. And it has that rattle in there too. This is a great spring and fall bait whenever those fish are just, as High Life would say, they're strapping on a feed bag and they're hitting whatever they can hit. So if you haven't thrown many Lipless, definitely start throwing them. You'll be surprised. And I know a lot of you guys already do, but if you haven't thrown a little Lipless, definitely throw them. Again, you can control the depth, speed, and they just plain work. All right, last but not least is a bait that I just started using last year. I had one, and it's still on my rod over there on the wall, but of course, typical fashion, I started catching fish on this, and I'll put some pictures on both corners here of fish that I caught with this. And this guy is the jointed Shad Rap. And the one that's still on my rod over there that I've retied, relined, and put it right back on, it's blue with a yellow belly. Again, I think the yellow and the orange belly out at our lake
really simulates the bluegill and what's out there, so it does well. But I'm telling you, this jointed shad rap, it's the JSR5. I did a video a couple months ago about some fish that I caught on. I'll put it up here, and it just catches everything. It catches, I caught a walleye on it, obviously a couple big bass on it, caught a crappie on it. I think even a bluegill hit this thing. This thing, again, what I like about this bait is it's suspending, and it'll dive anywhere from 3 to 7 feet, I believe. And what I like to do with this bait is I'll throw it out there, and then when it first hits the water, I'll burn it down a little bit to where I want to get it to. Maybe if I'm trying to get to 3 feet or a foot, or even if it's a foot, I'll just crank it once or twice and then slow retrieve from there. You can fish just as a jerk bait, with the pause technique. It works for that. I caught a nice walleye doing that. I was just twitch pausing it. It has that tremendous action. You can throw this up shallow, and you just got to be careful because it will get down to 7 feet fast if you burn it, because it has a pretty big lip on it. But if you just slow retrieve it and stop, it'll just stay in there because it's suspending. And I love the suspending baits because oftentimes for me, that strike comes as soon as you go to start it back up again. You've thrown it out there, burned it in a little bit, and it's pausing, and then just as you start to move it again, they hammer it. So, of course, I had to go out and buy some more. I think I bought 2 or 3 more of these guys at Dick's Sporting Goods, and we'll probably get some more when we go to our annual Cabela's trip here in a couple days. But this particular one is just the shad pattern. I thought this would work. It looks a lot like that hoochie coochie that High Life throws, so I'm going to throw that. And then good old-fashioned, the perch pattern. I think that'll work, but I just wanted to have more than one. I only had one of these, and up until this last season, I'd never caught a fish on it. I tried it, again, probably not enough water time. So it just goes to show you guys, if there's a lure or a bait in your tackle box, and I'm talking to myself here, you can't expect to go out, tie it on your rod, throw it 3 times, and catch a bass. It just doesn't work that way. Sometimes you got to learn the bait, you got to learn how it works, you got to learn what conditions are going to work with it. And I know I'm talking, a lot of you guys already know this, but sometimes you just got to try things on multiple different occasions until you find the right time, what's best for you. And but anyway, and then last year all of a sudden I couldn't keep them off this bait, the Shad Rap, the Rapala Shad Rap. It's a little pricey. I got this guy on sale. I think I got him for under $6, which is a deal. I've seen them as high as $7.50. But they're very versatile too. Reminds me of the old Bomber A. Again, if you twitch, it looks like a dying fish, or you could just burn this thing along the bottom. I caught a real nice bass right off the bank, just cranking it back in, where it's deep off our dock, and hammered a 3-pound bass. So I would say, look, in wrapping up for this year, for this past year, I probably caught the most fish on the squarebill, the bass on the squarebill, but the most versatile bait that caught the most different species was this Shad Rap, something that I had never caught a bass on before or a fish on before. So of course it's tied on, ready to go as soon as I can get back out there. I can't wait to use it, and I'm going to get a few more because I'm sure I'm going to end up losing this thing because I'm going to throw it all over the place. So that's it. That's my wrap up on the crankbaits that we were using last year and what I'm planning to use this year. And just wanted to say thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, definitely subscribe. Something else I wanted to show you, if you're, let me get my cell phone here for a second. Something else I wanted to show you, don't be afraid to use the old cell phone to visit FishingwithVance.com. You can save it as a favorite, and I have it so that it works pretty well on a cell phone. So go out on your cell phone, check it out, and you can keep current on everything that's going on in Fishing with Vance. So there's the latest on our utility table from High Life, building utility table, and fishing license. We post all kind of things from what's going on in Pennsylvania here with fishing. And so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out and go from there. But and you can always like I said, you can always jump on here if you want to grab a Fishing with Vance shirt. You can always do that. They're out there too. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We're on a push now for I don't know, probably around, we're about to hit hopefully soon 2,000 subscribers. So we're going to keep it going. Stay tuned for that, and then also we'll continue to modify the Pelican Bass Raider here, but it won't be long now. It's almost up to February here, so we will be getting back out on the water. I know we're planning on hitting the water in March this year, and we're going to get after it. We got lots of multiple lakes. Going to do a lot of carp fishing this year. Going to do a lot of bass fishing. We bought all kind of carp gear, so we're going after the big carp this year. Going to try to break that 20-pound personal best. So that being said, sorry for all the talking. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed this wrap-up of the crankbaits. See you next time on FishingwithVance.com.